Good afternoon, everyone. We're thrilled to have you here at WGBH. I'm John Abbott, the president of WGBH, and it is our pleasure, all of my colleagues here, our pleasure together to welcome you here today. We're very pleased to host this event on behalf of Attorney General Martha Coakley and her guests, Commissioner Janet Lebrecht of the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind, Commissioner Heidi Reed of the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and Kim Charlson, director of the Perkins Braille and Talking Book Library at the Perkins School for the Blind, right nearby, accomplishing great things. As some of you may know, WGBH has a long history of leadership in providing access to media for underserved audiences. Stretching back to 1972, WGBH pioneered captioning for television, for the first time allowing deaf and hard of hearing viewers to enjoy television alongside all of their neighbors. And in 1990, we launched the Descriptive Video Service, providing audio description of television programs as a service to blind and low vision viewers. Our commitment has not been limited to our broadcast programs, however. Through our National Center for Accessible Media, we have continued to develop and advance access for both existing and emerging technologies, from the web to new mobile devices. One of WGBH's major efforts was to adapt our access technology to movie theaters, which is why we are gathered in this theater today for some very exciting news that we've waited for some time and can't tell you how excited we are to hear. So let me turn now to our Attorney General, Martha Coakley, to share her announcement with us. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John. And thanks to WGBH, to Larry Goldberg, who you're going to hear from shortly. I want to thank, and I know you're going to hear from folks, but I particularly want to thank this afternoon Heidi Reed, Janet Lebrecht, and Kim Charlson, not only for what you're doing with us today with our announcement, but for the terrific work that you do every day. I want to thank also, who are here with me on the podium, Maura Healy, who is the Division Chief of our Civil Rights Division, and Assistant Attorney General Adam Hollingsworth, who is here with us today. I also want to thank the leaders and members of several disability advocacy groups, including the Disability Policy Consortium, the National Federation of the Blind, Bay State Council of the Blind, the Disability Law Center, the Carroll Center for the Blind, Deaf Incorporated, and independent living centers from across the state. We are very pleased and excited to be here with you today. And in a week that we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the passage of the Americans with Disability Act, it's entirely appropriate that we are here today to announce that we've reached an agreement that will take another step, in fact, a large step, in assuring access and independence for all of our citizens. There are approximately 545,000 deaf and hard of hearing, as well as 35,000 legally blind individuals in Massachusetts. And our investigation revealed that big three movie theaters, AMC, Regal, and National Amusements, that cover about 60% of the markets in Massachusetts, had a total of 423 auditoriums, of which only 14, or 3%, were equipped with accessibility technology for the blind and deaf. We entered into our discussions with these companies, working to ensure three basic principles for hearing and visually disabled. We wanted meaningful access, we wanted independence and inclusion, and we believe that we have accomplished that with this agreement. The agreement that we announced today ensures that 100% of these locations of the large chains will be accessible in at least one auditorium. That makes the total number of accessible auditoriums, it's an increase of 14 to 63, which is a 450% increase. And with this agreement, blind and deaf individuals for the first time will have a choice of accessible movie options at large theaters, 10 or more screens, and they're required to have 2 accessible auditoriums, resulting in a choice of accessible movies now at 27 locations instead of 0 locations today. We're going to shortly show you a demonstration with the help of Larry Goldberg, but I want to mention exactly what this is going to do. First, for deaf individuals, the technology that will now be available will permit deaf individuals to comprehend the auditory components of a film. Currently, we have open captioning and rear window captioning, which you will see shortly. Open captions obviously include subtitles for every film, where the auditory elements of a film, such as the conversation, the background noise, the music, they're all displayed along the bottom of the screen for every patron to see. Rear window captioning consists of a small screen which is affixed to the rear of a theater. If you look behind you, you can see that. That is displaying the captioning transcript of a movie. The patron receives a clear reflective panel that fits into the cup holder, and some of you can see that you're looking at those now, that will allow the individual to see the subtitles that are reflected from the back onto the screen running along the bottom of the movie, and will allow them to have captions that will not interfere with the movie experience of anybody else who is in the theater. The rear captioning technology has been installed in a number of theaters nationwide and now in Massachusetts. Now, for blind individuals, the DVS, or the Descriptive Video Service, is a system designed by WGBH that includes a set of headphones. It's worn by a patron with poor vision, which enables that person to now hear an oral narration of the visual elements of the film. DVS has been met with widespread approval by those in the blind community and makes a huge difference in the quality of the movie-going experience for the blind. Now, movies are, as we know, an important part of our cultural, social, and entertainment landscape. For years, the technology has existed that dramatically enables blind and deaf individuals to have meaningful access to the latest first-run movies that are enjoyed by the non-disabled. Unfortunately, that technology was not utilized in many of the movie theaters here in Massachusetts. We investigated the issue. We met with numerous blind and deaf residents. We met with a number of people during the investigation, and they shared their stories with us, which was an important part of our zeal to accomplish this agreement today. For instance, we heard from a deaf individual, a movie fan, who said that she often has to drive at least an hour, sometimes as far as New York, to see accessible movies, even though they were being shown in a local theater. And she noted that the lack of accessible theaters is difficult for deaf parents because they cannot share the experience by taking their children to a movie because they don't understand the dialogue. The technology and the agreement today is an example of how we can and should and are enhancing access and independence for blind and deaf citizens. And one of the great components of the Americans with Disability Act was that it encouraged and in some ways mandated, it was designed to ensure that we would use technology to make sure that all of our disabled residents continue to receive the benefits of those new technologies. And today's agreement is a terrific example of that. We believe it will have a positive impact in many ways, and surely is the beginning, I hope, of the increase and use of technologies for all disabled in Massachusetts. I want to mention briefly and give credit to Congressman Markey for his tremendous work on his technology accessible bill in Washington. It is important, as I found in many areas, that we work at the state level and the federal level so that we can maximize our efforts, particularly in this area. So I congratulate Congressman Markey for his work, and hope you will acknowledge your support of that bill to him also. I appreciate that you are with us today. And what I'd like to do is now introduce for some remarks, first, Janet Lebrecht, who is the Commissioner of the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind.